promised I was going to talk about how I fell in love with Argentina. Um, this man is the reason I fell in love with Argentina initially. In 1986, my first World Cup, I watched highlights. I'm sure I did not watch live. I was quite young. My dad would tape matches, so I got to see it. Probably saw on the news. Found out about this guy, this genius, Henio. And then 1990 was the first one that I really, got into, and I was able to watch some live matches. It was in Europe, in Italy. The time zone was better than when it was in Mexico, so saw the matches, saw the final, cried after the final, fell in love with Sergio Goycochea, because he was so good at penalties, that colorful jersey, and the team didn't play that well, but still managed to get to the final, and it was good, and I just fell in love with them even more. The following years, the 1994, 1998, and 2002, those were years I would watch the World Cup. I was in Canada at the time, so soccer was crazy, but it wasn't. I was also in high school, and I didn't it wasn't the time when you go out to bars. In 2002, I was in university, so I probably did then. And then 2006, I can't. Yeah, that was the year I met my friend, my first real Argentine friend, Mauro. Story here is very funny. My sister was into music, and Mauro was also into music, so they were in this sort of band together. One time I went and picked up my sister after her band practice, and it was a World Cup, so I had this flag draped all over my car, in the hood of my car. I drove there, and then Mauro saw it through the window, and he was like, what the fuck's going on? Who is this guy? So that's how I met Mauro, and then in 2008, and we became friends. And then in 2008, I went back to Hong Kong in 2007. In 2008, I went back in the summer. And before that, Mauro and I have been communicating. We talked about, I'm going to be in the U.S. and Argentina was actually playing friendly in San Diego against Mexico. So we were like, let's go. And I had family out west in San Francisco. So after San Francisco, I flew down to San Diego. I met up with Mauro and went to my first ever my first ever live Argentina game. In fact, in 2007 in Toronto, when I left, that was the year Canada hosted the U20 World Cup. I remember before the tournament started, I left before the tournament started, but the Argentina team had already arrived, and I actually saw the team at the Eaton Center doing some shopping. And these were under 20s, right? But with the likes of Aguero, Di Maria, and I didn't get a chance to meet them, and I still regret that for a long time. But I had to come back for my friend's wedding, so 2008 was my first seeing the senior team. I saw the junior team, actually the U20 team, earlier when I was in Canada. They actually came back for the 1 year anniversary of that World Cup, of that U20 World Cup. 2008, we went to San Diego. Wow, that was amazing. We had to kind of keep to ourselves because it was San Diego, right across from the border. Tons of Mexican supporters. Mauro and I actually drove around San Diego. We didn't do much sightseeing, a little bit. We went to have some tacos. We went to the beach, but we actually went to the hotel that Argentina was staying at, and we waited outside. And we saw the play. We didn't get any autographs, didn't get a selfie. Selfie wasn't really a thing at the time. And but we saw players go on the bus, and that was fun. And then we had to rush back into the city for the match, and we won the match. It was so good, and we met a few nice Mexicans who didn't spit on us. But yeah, lots of it was very dangerous in the sense that you had to hide the fact that you're an Argentina fan, so we wore jackets over our jerseys. Uh, yeah, and then from then on, 2010 World Cup, I was in New York for one match, family road trip, and I made sure we went to see the World Cup match. Of course, I couldn't miss it. Sister and mom and grandma went to do some shopping elsewhere. My dad and I took my dad to this place that I found on the internet, sort of, because early days of the internet, it was still not easy to find information, really. Trying to figure out where the Argentine supporters were going to be was difficult, but in the end we found them. These are much more tame supporters, of course, because they are American. They might be Argentine, but still American. So this is New York, and the level of support wasn't quite the same as what I got when I was in San Diego. So I had already experienced that, and I wanted to, and the team I think it was New York, and I was trying to cheer the team on, so I started singing by myself, and then I'm like, why is no one joining in? And so I started yelling. I said, how come the only guy chanting here is a Chinese guy? What's happening?
Why is the Chinese guy singing for Argentina? Come on!
Argentina. That made me smile, of course. And I did an interview with one of the early internet YouTuber situation thing.
Who are you supporting today?
Argentina.
And who was the man of the match?
You know what? After 2-0, I didn't really watch the match because there was no point. We dominated them. Man of the match, probably Carlos Tevez. He scored a cracker of a goal and he used his head. He's one of the shortest guys in the team, and he always scored with his head.
And in the World Cup overall, which game was the most exciting or biggest shock for you?
Biggest shock? Well, it's not one of those teams that you think would normally do well, like Italy and France. I think they totally deserve to go out. The biggest surprise? Got me. I would have to say I'm surprised the U.S. went out so early. I think they have a good team, and MLS really needs some good support. But hopefully they'll do better next year.
Great. Anything else for Argentina?
I can sing. Vamos, vamos, Argentina. Vamos, vamos a ganar. No para, Quilomera, no te deja, no te deja calentar. Vamos, vamos, Argentina. Vamos, vamos a ganar. No para, Quilomera, no te deja, no te deja calentar.
So that's my support kept growing, and 2011 was the highest point. Not I shouldn't say the highest point, but that's when it really went like crazy because Mauro and I had decided that we're gonna go to the Copa America in Argentina. He had to visit family back home. He hadn't been there for a while, and it would have been my first time going to Argentina. And I took a very, very long journey. My journey from Hong Kong. I remember my flight. It was the craziest flight ever. So I went from Hong Kong to, I want to say Houston. I can't remember if it was direct to Houston. Actually, I will find the itinerary. But the point is, I will make a separate video about this whole Copa America journey because there's so much to talk about there. My first trip to Argentina, my only trip to Argentina to the state. In fact, I would have gone last year, but the stupid virus fucked that up, and it's still fucking it up because I still have my valid ticket that I had won from the Argentina Festival in Hong Kong. I don't know if I'll ever be able to use this prize ticket to actually go to Argentina, but my love for Argentina, and I have to go back and visit the people I've met, and all the people I've met in Hong Kong, Argentine people in Hong Kong who has been in Hong Kong and gone back to Argentina. So lots of people I need to see, and of course lots of things I need to buy, lots of food I need to taste, and hopefully maybe even see some players. But yeah, that's my Argentina story in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like it if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I'm sure there are haters out there, so no problem. And subscribe if you want to see more content from me. Jerseys, football, design, everything. So, ciao. And vamos Argentina. Vamos a ganar la Copa América.